was one of the few black girls for a while growing up.
Hi, this is Nicole Glass, and welcome to Creating Your Own Reality podcast. Hi, this is Nicole Glass, and welcome to Creating Your Own Reality podcast. I just wanted to say personally, thank you so much for tuning back in this week. I am really excited about this episode because this is my chance to show the person watching on the other side of this camera who I am and how I created my own reality and why this podcast is so important to me. I think in order to understand me better, I need to talk about the people that came before me because I am simply a mirror of everything that my grandfather was. My grandfather came from South Carolina with nothing but the clothes on his back and money in his pocket and a 5th grade education. This is someone who believed in a better life for himself. South Carolina was the hub for slaves to come in from West Africa. So South Carolina was no joke at the time when my grandfather migrated to Harlem. He migrated with no job, with no idea of where he was gonna go, and just a hope, a dream of a better life for him and his family. The first thing he did, because he was a hustler, was sell vegetables and fruit out of a grocery store cart. For those of you who don't know, oftentimes inner Black cities, we have what is called a food desert because we don't actually have any supermarkets with any fresh fruits or vegetables. So what a lot of people did to make money is they would bring the fresh fruits and vegetables and they would sell it on shopping carts because that was oftentimes the only way people would get access to those types of food. So that's how my grandfather started. But I need to tell you guys how he ended because he was a hustler through and through. He ended with the first Black-owned grocery store in Harlem. He ended with fish and chips. He ended with laundromats, multiple clubs, new Cadillac every single year. He went from being a teenager with only a 5th grade education to being one of Harlem's most successful Black men. He was running around in circles with the godfather of Harlem. So, he was in and out of jail, but he also had 11 children. He was also a Black man in the 60s and the 70s trying to feed 11 children. So there was some hardship there. There were some things that he needed to do to support his family. But even though my grandfather lost his wealth when he went to jail, what he did give us was the seeds of knowledge of entrepreneurship. What he did give us was a blueprint, a map, a way to understanding financial freedom, a way to understanding the opportunities and the possibilities. My grandfather raised 11 children, and all 11 children have that seed of entrepreneurship, that seed of creativity, that seed of that mindset of hustler, go-getter, because they had a father who was able to show them the way. And I am not Nicole if not for Smiling Billy. Smiling Billy was a ground shaker. Smiling Billy was a boss. Smiling Billy was everything. And I think in order to understand me, you need to understand him. My dad was amazing. My dad was an all-star, all-American, high school graduate baseball player. He was a varsity baseball player and he was one of the best on his team. For those of you who don't know, my father passed when I was 11 years old. But he still lives and breathes through me, and I still feel him every single day. My dad was an amazing human being. He exceeded every expectation anyone ever had of him. He was a Fordham graduate, and he graduated in physics, top of his class. He also got recruited by the Yankees, the Mets, and the Red Sox to be on their minor leagues, but he passed that up to pursue software engineering. So he was extremely intelligent, and he was extremely athletic, and he was an extremely vibrant man. When he passed away, one of the things that he left me, his last gift, and this is pretty ironic and hard to believe, but one of the things that he left me was a Monopoly set. And for those of you who don't know, my dad died on September 24th, 2004, 4 days after my birthday. So the Monopoly set was actually my birthday gift for turning 10 years old. And it was something that I held close to me. It was something that I took seriously. I played with my family every year. I always won. They'll try to tell you different. But, it was competitive, and we had fun, and it was something that brought me and my family together every Thanksgiving. And I learned that the more rentals you have, you'll win the game. So Monopoly taught me actually early on, through the gift of my father, the importance of owning real estate and having rentals. And so when I turned 18 and the money my dad had left me from his retirement, he was 41 years old when he passed. So it was the money that he'd been saving for his own retirement. The money that he left me, I used that and I bought rentals. So I was actually a landlord at 18 years old. I got my first 2 rental properties. I had 2. And I did a real estate transaction as soon as I was legally allowed to. And what that did was that taught me that the ease of it, that got me comfortable with having real estate transactions. As I am now 26 and creating my own reality right here in the heart of New Jersey, who am I and what am I trying to do? A big lesson that I learned from my family was that we didn't want to work for anybody. We wanted to produce income for ourselves. And I think a big reason for that was because we've been subjected to work for people for free in the past. We've been subjected to work for employment that didn't necessarily groom us into becoming our best selves. So we wanted to generate wealth and abundance for ourselves and passively because we wanted to be financially free. And I believe that is the American dream for everybody. But I have to say, it was extremely hard to get to this point for me and my family. But it was worth everything, to be 26 years old and to own my own home and to have my bills be less than $500 a month is something that I will never, ever take for granted because I am able to have the freedom of my time. When I say creating my own reality, what I mean is having the freedom to create my own reality. What I mean is not having to work, but working because I want to. What I mean is when I create my own reality, it means I wake up every morning and I do what I want. And as a Black person, that is an extremely radical idea because we've been living in this country for so long and we haven't had the option to do what we want. We've had to do what we had to do. That is the place me and my people have been operating for so long, just doing what we have to do. And me stepping outside of what most people could call, the American corporate world and funnel of working 30 years and having retirement and health care and, doing things the right way, me stepping outside of that and being like, you know what, I don't want that. I want passive streams of income. I want rental properties so I could support myself and have income that I don't really have to work that hard for. I wanted to be able to think outside of the 9 to 5. I wanted that freedom. And I didn't know how to get that freedom. I think I was taught originally in order to chase that financial freedom, I had to chase money. And I learned at a really young age, it's the debt to income ratio. It's not the, and it's not really the making as much money as I can, but it's spending as little as I can. And I just looked at everything from a big picture of how do I spend less so that way I don't feel obligated to have to make more? How do I regain my time? That's the question that I had to ask myself. And the solution of which I found was to lower my expenses. And the biggest expense was my home. The biggest expense was my rent. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was paying a $3,000 a month apartment rent. And that was like over 50% of my paycheck. And so I was living from paycheck to paycheck. And so there was really no escape from, having that job. I needed that job to survive. And the moment I was able to realize that, okay, if I move into a duplex, or if I move into a multifamily, if I move into a place that pays for itself, if I move into a rental that pays for itself, I don't have to feel obligated to work this job. I can start working jobs that I want to work. And so the moment I was able to operate from that place of abundance, the moment I was able to eradicate the biggest bill that I was experiencing in my life, was the moment that I was able to taste a little bit of financial freedom. And now, instead of operating from a place of need, a place of I need to pay my rent, a place of I need to figure out the bills this month, a place of desperation. Now I'm operating from a place of want, desire, love, abundance, because instead of prioritizing and instead of placing my value in money, once I switched and I placed my value in time, that's when I became extremely free. I started doing the things that I wanted to do instead of feeling that I had to do the things I had to do. And I think that's what made me a more powerful person, I have to say. Once I started valuing my time, once I started valuing, the things, my passions, I became good at it. Life became fun. Life became enjoyable. Life became more meaningful. I created my own reality. I moved into a rental. You are actually in my house here today. I moved into a rental that I fixed it up, and I was able to lower my bills from $3,000 a month to $500 a month. And I actually split that with someone. So my bills are really like $250 a month. And so now, today, at 26 years old, finally, my family, we have someone who's living financially free. So what I want people to understand about my title, Creating Your Own Reality, this is something that I've had to create in order to be happy. I did have a 9-to-5 job. I did work in corporate. I got out of college. I went to school. I did everything that I was supposed to do, but I can't say that I felt comfortable in that. I can't say that that felt natural for me. I can't say that I felt like I was in a space where I was being challenged. I was in a space where people respected me. I can't say that I could have wore my natural hair. To be in a work environment most of your life where you can't be yourself is extremely detrimental and hurtful to your psyche. And so, me creating, this business, me creating passive streams of income was me creating, it was me fighting for my life. It was me fighting for my own opportunities. It was me fighting to be myself. I couldn't be myself at work. It wasn't accepted. I couldn't be myself at school. It wasn't, it wasn't the norm. It wasn't the standard. Kinky hair was told to go back home. Black girls are actually often reprimanded in school 8 times more likely than other races. So I was constantly in environments where I was told I could not be myself. So a part of me creating my own reality is me creating spaces where I could be myself. And that's what I want to give to the viewer. That's what I want to give to other women who understand what I have to go through, or who other women who are in a situation where they don't see a way out. I am an example that there is a way out. I'm 26 years old and I was able to do this in a matter of like 5 years. People are working 30 years in desperate situations where they're unhealthy. People are working in jobs where they're unhappy. And I want to show you another way. I want to show you that there is a life where you can be happy. I want to show you that there is a life where you can be yourself. I want to show you that it is possible to have your freedom, and I want to show you how, and I want to show you the people that have done it besides me. And I want to show you the genuine part of it. I don't want to show, it's not all about the money. I want to start there. Creating your own reality isn't about making millions of dollars. My value isn't in the money chasing. My value is in getting back our time so we can create a space to do the things that fuel our passion. Creating your own reality is being able to wake up and do what you want to do every single day. That is what this podcast means, that freedom. And I want to give that to you. I want you to see what I got going so that way you can use it as a blueprint to get what you need to get going. So if this is something that you're interested in, if this is something that you want to see, if this is something that you want to follow, I want you to like, subscribe, and comment, because this is not just my journey. This is our journey. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning into my show with your host, Nicole Glass. I am extremely passionate about this because I want to help the viewer on the other side of this, someone who didn't think that it was possible to live a life that they wanted to live. And I want to take you on this journey that I'm trying to go through so we can go on it together. All right, guys, I'll see you next week.